and say thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Homegrown Hustle podcast here today. One of the funnier guys that I know and I've known for a couple of years now. So I'm super excited to have you on here. And again, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's a great intro. A lot to live up to now.
Yeah, don't let us down, Chris. We're just getting started. We're not even 30 seconds in yet. So there's a lot of upside on this show already. So first of all, two great looking guys, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Might need to edit that one out. So Chris, you've been in business since 2017, right?
Yeah.
In that time, you've gone through some challenges and you've really overcome quite a few obstacles. What are kind of some of those first few obstacles you had to overcome as you were going from being an employee into owning and running your own business?
Sure. Well, I would say that, yeah, we're probably going to have to edit that out. The first thing I said is, that's like,
don't worry about it.
My kryptonite here. All right. Excellent. Some of the things I've had to learn. Well, I'm a doer. I really like to do my own thing. I feel like I can do the best at everything. It's part of my fake bravado that I like to have about myself, but I am a doer, and I feel like if I have control over things, then I can do it. I can do it the exact way that I want to. But having to realize that there's other people who can do things better than me, who can do things as well as me. Mm-hmm. I'm not the right person for every single job. Being able to let go of that, reach out to people for help, take a little piece of humble pie. Yeah.
That was a tough one for you to
a little bit.
Were you the big pound your chest kind of?
Talk to my employees.
I'm talking to you. So tell me a little bit about where you were at in your life when you made that transition into being a business owner.
I was in middle management, kind of corporate manufacturing. I'd been doing manufacturing for about 6 years, supervisor in some departments, and then I was working on processes as well later on in my career. Mm-hmm. I just decided I wasn't into the whole corporate atmosphere, lots of red tape. Like I said, I'm a do-it kind of person. I wanted to be able to make decisions, implement, and I just figured this is a good enough time as any to pursue that dream of doing something for myself. And so
have you always had that dream of being your own boss, working for yourself?
Yeah, I grew up, I'm the son of two entrepreneurs. So my parents were they owned their own business. They were wedding So yeah, I'm the son of two entrepreneurs. My parents owned their own business. They were wedding photographers, and just seeing the freedom and lifestyle and things that some of my friends didn't necessarily have. Of course, there's limitations as well, but
so you noticed that at a young age that the fact that your parents worked for themselves and ran their own business, that they had freedoms that other kids' parents didn't have. That's something you noticed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me the first time, if you remember, when you really noticed that. Is there a particular scenario or anything like that? Or
yeah, I feel like my parents were always home. So a lot of the time they had their operation out of our basement, lower level in our house. My friends, they would have their parents gone after school. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the big differences. We would, they were
just present, sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. God, I haven't thought about this in so long. Way to come up with some of these questions, Matt.
So you grew up around entrepreneurial people.
Yep. So just seeing the way that my parents' minds worked. They were always thinking about the next thing that they were going to implement into the business. They were always setting the house up to have clients over until they were in their office building later on. And once my brother and I were in our teen years and we took over the house, they couldn't have people over anymore. So they moved down to the office. And but yeah, just seeing that kind of thing at home, really, it just instilled that you don't have to work for someone else type of mentality.
So just seeing that it's even a possibility, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to go work for somebody So did you just go straight into the workforce kind of when you had that opportunity, or did you try some other things and then just had to make money and survive and end up there? Like, how did that play out?
Well, I don't know. I hated school. Honestly,
Right.
when I was in high school, I was not a big fan. And so I really didn't see myself going to college. I don't know. I felt like there was a double-edged sword with growing up with entrepreneurs because you don't see the struggles and difficulties necessarily behind the scenes. And so I always thought I have a lot to live up to. I'm just some high school slacker. I'm not up for this. I'm not built for this. It was kind of a turning point. And so, I did end up going to, work just either doing sheet metal. That's where I got my manufacturing experience. And then I was also delivering a lot of furniture in my 20s. So that's where I got my moving experience.
Okay.
But I ended up figuring, though, if I was not going to go to school, if I was not going to do my own business, I was always going to go back and forth between delivering furniture and doing sheet metal. And that was kind of a dead end in my mind. So I ended up going back to school.
So you played it out in your mind rather than like letting it happen to you. You had the foresight to look down the road and say, if I continue on this path, the outcome isn't one that I want.
Yeah, I mean, it took about 4 or 5 years after high school before I made that decision. And it was a little bit of a weird decision, too, because I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to be 30 by the time I get my bachelor degree, planning it out. And it's actually my dad that inspired me. He said, you're going to be 30 regardless. You might as well have your bachelor degree when you get there.
Like, that is some wisdom.
Damn.
Yep.
A little bit of that. So that was kind of my journey. Went to school while I was working full time, paid my own way. I went to cheap schools, so I went to community college at Anoka Ramsey. Then I went to Metro State, my alma mater, ended up using that to get my in a manufacturing plant because, honestly, it was 2010. Sorry, actually, I didn't use my degree right away. I used my manufacturing experience to get into a plant. It was like 2010. We're just on the other side of the recession. No one's hiring right now. No one will give me an interview. And I started as a sheet metal operator. And
you just had to get money.
I did. Well, I had to get a job,
Yeah.
right? It's like, how many places can I apply to and just not even get a return email? I was happy. I'd be like, oh, sweet, I got an email from someone. They were nice enough to say I don't get the job. Awesome. And so then, basically, I just said, I got to get some money. I'm going to go use my sheet metal experience. I started working at Hoffman, also known as Pentair for a while. And now I think it's called nVent. But in Anoka, Hoffman's an institution, so most people know it as that. Got that, used that sheet metal experience as an in. And I want to say before I was actually hired on full time, because I was temping originally, I had gotten offered the position of leading the sheet metal department. So everyone kind of knew I had a degree and knew I was going to try and use it within that company. And
what was your degree in?
Management.
Okay.
It's like the best generic degree you've ever heard of. I have a Bachelor of Science in Management.
Honestly, it's crazy to bring that up because I was thinking about it the other day, like how many small business owners fall into a business and end up having to be a professional manager, right? And they have zero management background, zero foundation. You at least took classes on it. Like you had, so I think that's kind of a leg up, honestly. That's things I have to actively learn and engage in now too.
Yeah. I remember learning about the hierarchy of needs and stuff. That's about what I retained from my 4-year degree.
Okay.
I guess that's a leg up if you want to consider one thing out of 4 years of classes. No, there's a lot of things that I did learn, but really once I didn't take full advantage of that stuff and actually put it into practice until I was leading the sheet metal department where I was working, and then even more so when I was considered more of a not a direct leadership role, but just kind of leadership by influence.
Gotcha.
So working with the supervisors, working with...
You were the doer, and the leaders used you to kind of get the rest of the crew moving.
Actually, I was, once I was done doing like supervising in the area, it was more of a planning and implementation type of thing. So we were working with the supervisors of the areas to either, like, if we were missing goals or if we were changing demand in an area, working on setting staffing levels, working on, improving processes if we were having quality defects. We had it.
Management and operations all day.
Is crazy. And I look back on some of the things that, I didn't do it on my own. It was a lot of people, including tons of operators and, floor level people that, and being from the floor, having that experience, I always had a strong respect and still do for all the operators out there. And they were the ones who had to deal with what, the changes that we wanted to implement. And so we wanted to make sure that they had at least some kind of a say in the process and help implement the things that we wanted to do so that they could feel responsible for the goals that were set for them.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And we couldn't have done it without them. They can put the brakes on whatever. You don't know how much power, seat 3 on assembly line H has in hitting a goal if he's not bought into what you're trying to do.
That's interesting. That's like a big picture, like the overall machine needs to produce this, and if one component of it isn't working, then it doesn't produce that, or it doesn't produce it as fast. Do you see that in your business now? Like, do you see what you've learned through that experience applying to great home movers?
Yeah, I do.
How?
Well, man, you got all these good questions. This is a great transition, and here I am for it. I take a lot on myself. So, and when I say that, I mean I take a lot of, I'm my own biggest critic, right? So I feel like I'm constantly trying to, catch up and be the best that I can, and I overwhelm myself, and sometimes I fall behind on this, or have these ideas that I want to implement for a long time, and I can feel like I'm the cog that's not doing what needs to be done. I'm the person who isn't necessarily giving my guys the tools that they need to do what they need to do. Now,
that's an amazing answer. I think it's the right answer for a business owner to give, man. That's it. I mean, it's easy for somebody to talk about a business like a machine and say, well, somebody in the operational part, this function of the business, they're not doing their job, and that's why. But the response you just gave was not that. It was more like, I'm the one pulling all of the levers on the machine, and I didn't pull the right lever, so that's why.
Yeah.
And that type of ownership, I think, is really powerful for business owners. When you started your business, did you think that way?
I feel like I wanted to think that I thought that way. I was so small. When I started that business, it was really just me and a truck. And, I ended up hiring one guy who was only going to be doing this for a little while with me. And then I kind of had to move on. I was using my brother at times. I was,
hustling.
Yeah, for real. I just wanted to get that next job and then kind of let the pieces fall. Like,
you were just trying to survive.
Yeah, get that next job so I could get that money in my bank, so I could make the payroll, so that I could, continue to buy a lead, keep That's
the part of business people don't talk about, man. Like, that stuff's hard, and to get through that, there's a lot of businesses that don't. Right? How did you handle that, like, emotionally? Like how did you go through processing that? That's tough, but the reality is a lot of people are there.
Oh man, I would say I probably didn't handle it super well. It took me a while to get out of that mindset, especially because I want to say that I had some confidence things going into starting the business that I had to overcome. So
Tell me more about that.
I was not wanting to put myself as the face of the business. I didn't really want people to know that me, Chris Hanson, was starting a business who was going to be moving people. I had fears about people that I don't eat, like, I don't know, who is that random person from high school who maybe remembers me and thinks, that guy, he was a slacker, dude. He's going to start a business? Like, why would anyone move him? And I don't know why I would even think about that, but it certainly was in my head. And I've actually talked to other people who felt the same way. So, I mean, it's not completely unique to me, but I really hampered my growth. I kind of held myself back.
Your own lack of confidence, though.
Yeah. I was afraid to put myself out and really achieve and show what I was made of. I wanted the business to be successful so that I could someday come out and be like, yeah, this is what I've built. Now that you see the business.
You just wanted the glory. You didn't want your name to kind of be there through the grit.
Yeah, I feel like it was part of that, and also part that, if I didn't feel like I deserved the glory or that people would recognize that I could do something. And so I was really taking that from an external sense of validation. I wasn't expecting that I was going to get it. And so it was holding me back. So at a certain point, I started hanging out with other business owners. And
that shifted the mindset.
Yeah, it really did.
All right, let's explore that. So walk me through the things you were thinking about before, and then whatever that first time you hung out with other business owners was, and how that shifted.
Sure.
Mindset.
Yeah. So I think it was maybe my third winter when I'm in the slow season, just spent more than I should have on Christmas presents for the kids and looking at the bank account, thinking to myself, I don't have any jobs on the calendar. I should have been more prepared for this year. This is the third time in a row. I got to do something different. I might as well just fold.
Your back was against the wall.
Pretty much. And, I had heard about networking groups and really just, I'm like, wow, I have to do something. And so I actually found BNI group, Absolute Connections, best networking group in the entire country, Twin Cities, everything, all that. But yeah, so shameless plug. You got to get used to those shameless plug. That's that confidence that you got to get. So yeah, just being in that networking group, talking to other business owners, other people telling you they've been through the same thing. When they were at this point in their business, they went through this, identity where they shifted from being a business owner or from being a technician to a business owner. So I still had this mindset of, I'm going to be a mover. I own a moving company, but I basically own my job. I need to be a business owner.
So correct me if I'm wrong here. So what you're saying is before you walked into that room, you didn't really realize how you were even thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
And then after that, you realize there's an alternative perspective to being a business owner.
Yeah.
That you didn't know was there before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
I mean, there's some discrepancies in that timeline, but we'll just go with that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that networking group though, seriously helped me through so many things. I mean, I think that the number one advice that I would give to anyone is surround yourself with other professionals that are looking to achieve. Not saying I'm at the top, but that slogan of it's lonely at the top. When you're the owner of a business, who are you going to complain to about all the stuff you have going on in life? Like your employees, they care to a certain extent, but they need to get paid. That's their primary thing. Who else? Your family and friends mostly work for other people. They don't really understand. I'm sitting there at bonfires with friends who are all complaining about their bosses, and I'm sitting there going, what if their boss is going through a thing and they're having back orders on the other deal. And like, I mean, maybe you should talk to them about it. They're probably going through some rough times.
Yeah.
Wow, you feel weird being at a bonfire thinking to yourself, like, man, I feel like I don't necessarily fit in with the struggles of a lot of
Your
people
peers.
that I used to relate to up until this point. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, I still love all my people, you know, I still keep in contact with all my old friends and everything like that. But, you know,
But from a work standpoint, you could connect with people.
You need an outlet of people who going through the same stuff as you or who have gone through the same stuff as you. You got to reach out to that support system because as a business owner, you are just seen typically as someone who, oh, God, he owns a business. Obviously, he's doing awesome. You know, he should be paying the tab at the bar today. You know, he's probably putting his down payment on his lake home right now, saving up for that boat.
You're the rich Ferrari driving business owner. You're that guy because you own a business and they don't. And I think that disconnect is why some of those other conversations can never really happen. I've found myself in similar positions where some of the people I'm like the closest to, I just can't talk about certain things with them, right? Because it alienates them. It creates distance and like an awkward.
Yeah, it's like I don't appreciate their time any less. I love those moments with all my people, all my friends, and of course I have utmost respect. But there is a certain level where, yeah, we can connect on tons of things. But on this business side, I need someone else to talk to because
it's that mindset. You said support structure.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you mean when you say that in regards to business?
Well, like I said, you can't do everything yourself. And included in that is just, it rolls over into your personal life. And it can be a frustrating thing. So it's amazing to have people that can help you through those personal crises. Not only do people see you as, hey, you're a business owner, all the things I just said, but they also think that you've got everything together, that they don't see it as behind the curtain. They don't, your customers don't care what you have going on in your personal life. They are looking for your business, your service, and that's what they expect, right? They don't realize that, hey, like for the last year, I've been going through a divorce. Like I'm trying to find a new normal with my kids. I'm trying to accomplish and drive this business forward so that I can realize these dreams, these things that I've worked for the last 6 years.
While your whole world is changing and you still have to hold it together.
Absolutely. Right? Like the world, the customers, your employees, their paychecks, your bills, none of that stuff stops just because you're going through a rough time. And it's a really rough time. It just is. But what am I supposed to do? Like I have to continue to push on. I need to get up every morning. I need to get out there and do it for the people that I love, people that depend on me. So what do I need? I need people to depend on as well. I need a support system. I have my parents, I have my, my kids, two beautiful girls who like they're just, the absolute light of my life. I've just got so many amazing people who want to build me up. They also want to see me succeed. And that I can't say enough about the networking group that I'm in Absolute Connections. I don't want to sound like a commercial for them, but it's seriously, once you join any networking group and become part of something, it becomes a bigger thing. It's not just about passing business. It becomes a personal investment into the other people in your group. You said we've been, we've known each other for a couple of years. We're sitting here BSing before the thing. We have more than just a business relationship together, right? And there's people who I don't BS with outside of, or have much contact with in my networking group because it's such a huge group. And there's people I just don't know on that personal level even. But when things are going wrong, I'll get random messages from people that I don't even necessarily have a close relationship with in that group, just saying, hey, I heard you're going through something. Reach out to me if you ever want to talk, you know?
Wow.
And
That's powerful.
it is, absolutely. I mean, it makes you feel like part of a family. So get that support system, you know, don't shy away, be authentic, allow yourself to open up. I feel like, especially as a man, it's hard to open up and express your feelings, your problems. You know, I feel like a lot of, you know, being a business owner, being a man is, you know, posing as you have it all together. You know, like, you can't be shook, you know, and not allowing yourself to open up to other people, it's not going to help. It's not going to make things better. These internal struggles that you have
They're not going to go away just because you don't talk about them.
Absolutely not. They're going to fester. They're going to whatever. I get you a tissue.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm, you know, but yeah, like it gives you that outlet. And seriously, like, you know, I recommend that, you know, anyone who needs serious help, like, go to a, you know, a licensed therapist, you know, seek that.
Yeah, it's so good that that's becoming normalized now, right? Where before like that was like,
it's a sign of weakness, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like anyone who reaches out for help, like, I see that as a sign of strength.
I think it's the ultimate strength, like to be able to admit that and like seek out help. Like that's real difficult, like in our society in general, because of that fear of judgment, fear of whatever. But all those fears aren't like, they're not real until it actually happens. It's like the theory that this thing could happen. Right. Sometimes our brains make all this shit up, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's, you know, can relate it back to when I was starting my business and I want to have my face out there because all these like make-believe barriers that I gave myself, you know?
Which were all other people's perspectives.
Right. So you just...
why did you think you needed to live up to other people's...
Yeah, you know, done a lot of soul seeking lately over the last year. And I do have a, you know, high tendency to seek external validation. I'm one of those people. One of my love languages is, words of affection or
affirmation.
That one, affirmation, words of praise. You know, I do have a little bit of a higher need for that. And I think I was just beyond where a healthy person, you know, or I needed beyond what a healthy person should need, or, you know, so I've actually been working a lot on that, of finding that inner praise, you know, knowing that when I do something for myself, if I feel good about it, that can be enough. I don't need everyone to come give me a compliment. I mean, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah. You're doing a great job.
But yeah, like, you know, I want to do it for me, you know, realizing that doing something for everyone else or doing something for the glory, the praise, the whatever, like
never, like,
it's never going to be good enough. Like, no one's
thirst. It'll never be gone. You'll always be chasing after it again.
Right. You're just chasing that dragon, man. It's funny.
So,
we're on the same page there.
So for you, like, you're giving some great advice for people that are going through some of those struggles of not having resources, right? Did you go, like, was it hard for you to go to, like, find a group? Like, where did you find a group? Like, how did that happen?
So I got recommended to BNI through another, sales professional for another moving company, actually, that I became friends with. And he said he was in a couple of groups. I actually looked up just ones around the area and found the biggest one, saw they didn't have a moving company, and I invited myself.
I'm going to check it out. So just going in, nobody...
I'm pretty decent at going somewhere, and, you know, maybe I'll have a little bit of internal nervousness or whatever, but...
People can't tell.
Yeah, it's not external. So, yeah, absolutely. So I was fine going in there. Sat down, saw the energy in the room, thought to myself, if I was going to do anything for a change, like the fee for this for a year is like, I don't know. I think at the time it was like $550. I know it's like a little more expensive than that right now, but thinking to myself, that's what, 3 jobs. If I get 3 jobs, I've paid for my annual fee. The rate of return on this investment is like almost, the fee's negligible compared to like any kind of other marketing or anything else I could do. It seemed like a no-brainer. And
you had the time because you didn't have any jobs anyway, right?
Right. It was.
So you're back. So rewinding it back to when we were first on this story before it ping-ponged all over the place. You said your back was against the wall pretty much, right?
Right.
And you had a couple options. You could fold or you could do something that's different, right? We didn't talk a lot about the whole folding part of it. We talked, the next thing that came out of your mouth was you went. So I think you're a fighter, dude. Like just based on what you're talking about so far. So that.
Yeah, sometimes I'm so much of one that I don't know when to quit.
That's I mean, I think that the stick to itiveness.
We'll go with
that's
that.
a word.
We'll
Yeah,
go with
for
that.
sure. I think that that resilience is a better word. I think that is such a powerful thing for people to recognize it in themselves, especially in business, because life is going to punch you in the face every day as it is. But if you're in business and business for yourself, there's a lot more punches flying your way sometimes. So being able to eat that punch and keep rolling and put yourself out there. And now not only do you have all that other pressure you had, but now you're doing something that was very difficult for you, right? You chose to not put your face out there, not be visible because of the other fears. So you're adding more pressure to yourself at that point, right?
Right.
So did you pull the trigger? You're like, I'm in, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Well, how did you think that was going to change? Did you play out how that would impact you down the line, or did you just know this is different, that I need something different?
I could tell just by that group in particular. I mean, not everyone in general is probably going to feel that exact same thrill of walking into the room and just knowing this is where they needed to be at that moment. So it may take a couple different groups, but there's one out there where you may feel that. But it just seemed like a no-brainer to me because of, like I said, the investment was so little, and I really needed to be around people who were making moves for themselves and their families and were in those situations. I just felt like if
there was value in that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to find the next right move within this group.
Gotcha. So the proximity factor, you were that was a major value add. Having massive amount of business owners with experience. Yeah. I mean, that for me, when I joined my first networking group, it was very similar. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what to think about, let alone if it was even in the right general vicinity of where I should be shooting, right? It was just, I was thinking about stuff. I had a business, really had no idea what I was doing. And having those resources, that sounding board of maybe sometimes unsolicited feedback to now create additional reference points for you as a business owner to triangulate how you see your business in reality.
Right.
Instead of just this vacuum of how you view it. I think the word is perspective.
Absolutely.
Right. And greater perspective on things really helps you realize that you don't have it that bad sometimes, right?
All right.
And I've also just kind of gleaned from how you're talking about it. It sounds like just having so many people that cared about you through some of those tough times, even though they weren't supposed to, they didn't have to. You knew them on the business level, right? So in theory, with our business faces on, we're friends on LinkedIn, but not on Facebook. So I don't know what's actually going on in your life because everyone puts a certain business facade out there.
We are friends on Facebook, though, right, man?
I think so. So
that was just hypothetical.
So
right?
3 years ago,
if not, I'd really like an ad.
Okay, I got you. I got you. So you went into this group, and then you just start going. How did that in that first 6 to 12 months of being part of that, what changed?
COVID happened.
Perfect. So it's your fault.
Right. I signed up for this group and all of a sudden there's a pandemic. Dang it.
So was that beneficial that you had joined the group then?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I hadn't joined that group, that would have probably been the nail in the coffin. In fact,
Really?
Absolutely, because
your back was against the wall.
Back against the wall. Now, one of those deals where there's plenty of reasons to not push forward at that moment. I mean, I'm a realist. There's a lot of stuff going on. There are shutdowns. There are businesses that are not allowed to keep going. I don't know if I'm going to catch something where I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if my parents are going to catch something. I don't know if I'm going to give something to a client. There's just so much uncertainty, right? And being around other people who had to say, yes, all this stuff's going on, but there's still other stuff. Like I still need to
the world
make money.
Stop.
I still need to provide for myself. Like no one else is helping right now. There wasn't any help immediately.
Yeah, no one's coming to your rescue.
Right? Absolutely. And I was lucky enough to be in a business that was considered an essential service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
some people literally couldn't operate their business.
Absolutely.
And because of that, they shut down. So those serendipities, I think, are really unique where, like, if you hadn't gotten over your fear of putting yourself out there and gone to that, maybe your life is different right now.
Right.
And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to process that and like even get to that point. But for myself, it's beneficial for my personal progress. Would you agree with that for yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. So you're crediting the fact that you had a support system with pretty much allowing your business to succeed and not, but it's, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not in the same position now in your business as you were when you joined.
No. I mean, I have some of the same issues, some of that stuff, I like to, but I've learned, I've grown, they're not as big and impactful. I work through a lot more stuff much more easily, like delegating, letting other people do the work, being that support system and instead of the person who actually enforces, I guess, is being supportive. Yeah. So I'm definitely in a different place. In fact, I don't even know if I consider those first 3 years.
I didn't count.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like I've been in business for 3 years now. And I know I really sound like I'm join Absolute Connections BNI today. But it could have been any group. It could have been whatever. It's just getting yourself in front of other business owners, getting yourself in front of other dedicated people who are striving to perform, who know the stuff that you're going through, who can help you out, and the type of people who want to help each other. And then also be that person to others too. That's another thing is, I feel like I'm kind of the person who takes tons of stuff in, implements a little bit of it, but I'll be able to tell the next person who's going through something exactly what they need to do, even if I'm not doing it myself. But yeah, so I love to, help other people out. If someone needs any advice, I'll tell you exactly what I should be doing. And, if you do that, you'll succeed. Now, I might not be doing it, but I'll tell you what you need to do.
I feel like there's something in that, though. It's so much easier to see what's going on from somebody else's business because it's only logic that you look at it from. And this is why I think having consultants and outside perspective on your business is so incredibly valuable because as the business owner, those dollars that are going into the business account, there's an emotional attachment there for us, right? Those are our dollars.
Yeah.
Until we decide that it's going somewhere else, right?
Right.
So if there's like a lack of quality management with those dollars, we actually feel that. Like business owners like emotionally feel it.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Like it's hard to like take that emotional attachment as a business owner and put it aside because as soon as emotion's involved for me, now I'm making dumbass decisions, man. Now it's not really based off of data and numbers. It's based off of feeling.
Absolutely. The other thing about it too is it can be difficult because your business, it becomes your baby. You don't just want to make some rash decision. Sometimes it can be paralyzing in order to, make a change, in order to go a different direction. Because, man, you're so emotionally invested that you don't want to make that wrong decision.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't change, like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So, but it can be paralyzing sometimes to have to make a choice to do something else, because you're risking a lot of people, all your employees, things and stuff. I don't know. I feel like I've
the commitments that they've made, their
right,
lives,
right.
essentially,
and yours. It all lays on this thing, and it can be difficult from that, to separate your feelings from, the analytics, from the data, from the all that kind of stuff. So absolutely, I've had a few consultants. I have someone that I take a lot of advice from, who's not technically a consultant, but really supportive of other people in my life. Yeah, so just having other people around you that are, especially if they have strengths where you feel like you lack. God, those people are so important too.
They bring insight that you
absolutely
foreign to you. Right?
Absolutely.
So you've had this massive mindset switch, right? The first 3 years, let's throw those aside. So you make this mindset shift. You're actively engaging in the growth of your business through being in close proximity to people. Were the fears that you had about making that jump, that all these other people, the worries you had about what other people would think about you and all that, was any of that even real? Like, did you?
No, I've had nothing. It's funny. That stuff is just all, everyone has their insecurities. Everyone, well, to a certain extent, everyone, thinks about, people from their past and, what they could possibly be. What would so-and-so, who doesn't even, I don't even know, they were maybe some dude who picked on me one time back in whenever. What would they think if they found out I was running a business? They might laugh to themselves.
Well, so you've realized that it doesn't even matter.
What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me?
Wow.
I don't know. That's a stupid way that overthinking. I don't know. I've met a lot of overthinkers out there, so I'm not the only one who does that kind of thing. But at the same time, you just gotta.
So what advice would you have for people that are going through that, or what are some things to think about if somebody that's listening is kind of going through that?
Free yourself from these chains you're putting on yourself, man. Free yourself. Get over it. Get over yourself too sometimes, because why do you think you have a place in that person's head anymore? You know what I mean?
Wow,
you're trying to forget about them.
They don't that you're that important.
Right. And what would any of that matter anyway? Oh man, this has been a great session, by the way. What do I owe you for this? Is my insurance cover this? Damn.
Dude, this is valuable stuff, because it's not just you that's going through this, man. That's why I love doing this stuff. I'm learning a lot about you, but I'm also thinking about myself here, and then other people that I know, and how this new insight that you're giving me can potentially change the trajectory that I have, or other people that I care about, or maybe even people I have never met and never will meet, how it can impact them. That's why I do stuff like this.
Awesome.
So anyway, free yourself from the chains. That's great advice. So you've talked a few times about this swirling indecision, where you how tough that could be, right? How do you not overthink something?
Man,
what are the things?
I would say that, in order to not overthink something, you really need to look at the numbers.
Data, real.
Yeah.
We need to do math, not feelings.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that. I mean, and sometimes there isn't that hard data, but you got to figure out sometimes what the chance of what the potential gain is for what you're investing versus the loss of that investment, right? Mm-hmm. And is that going to be worth it? I couldn't necessarily, especially at the time when I joined that networking group, or, when I get flyers printed up, or when I get, things done, right? And I have to spend money on, some kind of a booth at a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what am I putting into it? What am I going to lose? And what do I feel like I could gain? So, I mean, there might be a little bit of feel, but I mean, is it, and you can put it out on paper afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully. Maybe it is just based on a feeling,
But then you can learn from that after the fact.
absolutely.
So
I don't know. I said a lot of things about feelings even after I said, look at the data, didn't I?
Yeah, but I think that is the struggle and the balance that business owners have, is that like the factual, logical, data-oriented pieces that they should be making decisions off of, and the emotional side of things where it's their money. There's other people involved. There's emotions involved there, and those are all there. But you need to know it's there, but you can't necessarily make the decision off of that. Like it's hard to even put into words and formulate like a coherent conversation right now, to be honest.
A little bit.
But I think that's kind of the mind of a business owner at times, and why being around other people who maybe have found some organization to that chaos, to now show, hey, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
It's that way for you now, but there's other ways. Here's one way that's worked for me.
Yeah.
And then there's another way that's worked for Bob over there.
I'll tell you, the pendulum can swing the other way too. Just as easy as it is to not make any decisions and sit still, and then you can also swing the other direction and just say yes to everything, and that can be bad as well.
Mm-hmm.
Every time someone calls you up and says, hey, you need this for your business. Oh, I do need that, don't I? Oh, you need to market in this way. I should market in that way, shouldn't I? You just start spending money on everything all at the same time. You have no idea what actually stuck.
So it sounds like you had to learn that the hard way.
That also is, is a thing that can happen.
Okay. So how did you...
You too can be a business owner and have to deal with all this.
How did you learn that? How did you learn that you can make decisions too fast?
I'll tell you once I figure it out.
Okay.
I just know it happens.
You just know you spent more money and you didn't get the result that you wanted.
Absolutely. I mean, I've, gone through points where, I'll keep like an advertising campaign going on too long, even though I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. And
why do you do that?
Because every once in a while you get a bite. But it's like, in general, this isn't really paying off. I could probably use this money towards something else. But I just got a job the other week off of it for the first time in a couple months.
So you validate the lack of performance because of the uncertainty, again, of what the alternative you don't know is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also sometimes you just get into comfort. Like, okay, I have this system. Like, sure, they're all kind of like performing a little less than I would, but at least I have a system, right? And
I think that's the death of a business when they stay there, man.
Right. You have to be pretty like diligent in going back and looking over those kind of things and making those decisions on what really hasn't been working or has been underperforming. I've had to cut different lead sources out, even though I'm getting a few things from them here and there, just because I guarantee I could put that money towards something else that would be.
So it sounds like you just do math on, I put money into this channel. This channel produced this. That is or is not good enough for me to continue doing marketing here. Is there a particular time that you like run that experiment?
Usually,
that's kind of what it is, right? Like unless you have like some type of insight into the industry where somebody can advise you and come up with these ideas. For a lot of business owners, it's just trial and error.
It is. I usually try and get all of my stuff into play before April. And that summer is going to be the experiment time. And then after the busy time, like right about now, is when I will start looking back over things and seeing what actually worked that year. Mm-hmm. Because during the middle of it, there's no time to really rest and take a look at that stuff. I mean,
you got to get money when you can get money.
Right. But, well, and everything is coming at you so fast during the summer with the moving industry that it can be really difficult to sit there and analyze everything. So I usually get anything that I want to implemented.
Tested over a 12-month period.
That's usually not even that long, but
you understand your industry now that in the summer you have this uptick in seasonality of service, and maybe not as much during the winter.
Yeah, during the winter, I mean, I'm not a large enough company where I have,
I don't even think we've talked about what you actually do yet. So
let's
rewind it a little bit. So what does
I own a moving company, Matt?
Okay, so what do we move, Chris? Let's talk about what Great Home Movers does for its customers.
Okay, so Great Home Movers, we are a local, relatively small company. I work very closely with all my customers and my employees. I call them employees, but they're my guys. They're my crew. They're out there. We have meetings. We joke around. We do stuff. Saying employees seems so cold. So they're out there.
Part of your team.
Exactly. And they're the ones who make all this happen too.
I mean, you moved my wife and myself when we recently moved this past year, and I can legit say you're boots on the ground with your team, moving stuff. You're sweating, and the coolest part about it is you have such a positive attitude. The whole I hate moving. That is a stressful thing. I've moved so many of my friends in college. It's ridiculous. The fact that you chose an occupation and a business to run where you do that, you're stronger than I am, because I couldn't go through that for more than a weekend or something.
So I mean, the goal is to not necessarily be boots on the ground for too long, and but
sometimes that's what you got to do, right?
Actually,
I'm pretty sure some shit hit the
part of the reason that I'm out there sometimes is because I'm a glutton for punishment. I actually like doing that kind of thing sometimes. I almost feel like it holds me back a little bit from really having to exit that part and focusing completely on business development.
Stop in the field, dude.
I know.
Sweet. So we made that decision here today. That's good.
Thanks, Matt. Just check in with me in a week and we'll see how that's going. No, I do need to get out there, but I do need to get out of the field.
Why?
Because I mean, it's
for business owners that are in that thought process. Explain to them why there's value in the operator coming out of the field.
All right. I'll explain to you why. Okay, because if you're working in the business, you're not working on your business. Okay, everything that you're missing out on during the day is stuff like checking over what's working, what's not. So going over the data, looking at where your sales are coming from, looking at your conversion rate on your leads, looking at, there is so much in the background that you can be doing. And if you're out in the field,
if you're out in the field, your brain is firing on a different level.
You also don't have the energy to do that stuff afterwards. I mean, I call it mover's brain. By the end of the move, you're just shot. So what am I going to do after that? Go and look to see, what my conversion rate was last week? Yeah, So, right.
So you're forced into thinking with your gut and with emotion at that point, because not only the decisions still have to be made right in your business, but now you're at a lower mental capacity because you're literally spent physically and mentally because of what you're doing in the field, especially in your role.
There's a lot more to moving than just the physicality of it.
I don't want to talk about it. It's so stressful for me.
And that's and speaking of what we do, honestly, that's what I feel really sets me apart and sets my team apart.
Tell me more.
My favorite compliment that I could get from any customer is no one complained the entire time. So why is that my favorite thing? Because everyone hates it. Everyone knows how hard it is to move. They're already stressed out. A lot of the time people feel bad for what they're putting us through. And the last thing during this stressful time, during a move, is to add more stress on the customer, knowing that we're struggling or we're complaining or we're doing something we don't want to do. That's not what we're here for. We're here to take that stress off of you. We're here to make you feel confident. We're here to make you feel good about this whole process.
How do you get your team to not complain about something that's such a pain in the butt?
I mean, we complain about it, just not in front of anyone. So,
Okay.
I mean, there is that. But I mean,
you realize that you're on stage in front of the consumer.
Absolutely.
And anything you say, do, body language, even, like, there's a potential perception of
right.
stress and negativity when they are already going through the traumatic experience of changing their place where they call home.
Absolutely. And I mean, the customer has been doing so much leading up to the actual move. I mean, we do offer pack-in service. So if,
what does that mean?
We can come in, put all your dishes in boxes.
We should have done that.
Yeah, you should have. I remember your.
No, I don't think we did any prep. Like, we didn't do any.
No, you didn't. I remember your move. Sorry, it was not gonna lie, Matt. Well, you didn't seem as prepared as I hoped you would have been. But that's all right. But you know what? We didn't complain at all, did we? No, there you go. See,
that's the realest shit right there too.
But yeah, I mean, so I knew you were already stressing out about how you it's not like you didn't know you were prepared. Come on, what am I going to do? Add on to that guilt? No, we're just going to move your stuff. Okay, now.
It's already there. You can't change it.
Now,
Putting that out there.
The nice thing for me is your lack of preparedness, increased your bill. Yeah. So, I mean, that worked out.
It's true. But that's how business is.
Yeah, the last thing I want to do, though, is make you feel bad about, what you did or didn't get done. I mean, it's just, it needs to be done today. We're here for it. Mm-hmm. We're going to accomplish it. We're going to make sure that you don't feel any more stress than you need to. And really, a lot of the way that I get my guys to, do that is I get them, I talk about this kind of thing with them. I tell them about, how this is not an easy process. Everyone on my team has moved personally, either with their family or on their own. And usually they've done it with their family or on their own. They haven't necessarily hired a moving company. They know the stress leading up to the move. They know the stress of unpacking afterwards, having to think about all the logistics of everything and when's the closing going to be? When's the, do we have to hold things overnight? Do we have to get a hotel room? Well, there's so much crap, and we talk about this. Mm-hmm. And I tell them the whole reason you're there is so that they don't have to worry about this big part of it. They can just watch us go.
That. We got this.
Yes.
And you can trust us with everything. Like, that's a lot to trust somebody with. Like literally, people's whole life is in your trucks when they're moving, right?
Yeah.
And, that's such an extreme level of trust that, I mean,
we got everything from your cheap IKEA bookcase to your grandma's china. Mm-hmm. Everything in between. We pretty much treat everything as though it was your grandma's china. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that everything really gets there in the same condition that it is when we got to it. We're trying to make sure we don't leave a mess behind at mm-hmm. the site. The other thing I instill in my guys is that when we see something heavy, when we see something that's, just a brick of a piece of furniture or just going to be difficult, I tell them to think of it as something that, they can try and, if you're a gamer, do you game at all?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. Well, if you were, you'd know that there's achievements in a lot of games. Okay. And usually it's some kind of a stupid task that takes forever, that takes a lot of energy. And really, once you get it, it's an achievement unlocked. A lot of the people that work for me are, younger. Mm-hmm. They know that video game culture. They respond to that achievement unlocked. Gotcha. Hey, this is going to suck. Mm-hmm. You're going to grind this. But once you're done with it, feel good about it. Yeah, you got that, insane dresser down. You got that piano out into the truck. You got that, gun safe out of
And
now, whatever.
now you know next time one comes up that you'll be able to do that.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Right? And you know what? People look at us and they see us do that, and they're going to be sitting there like, holy crap, like we get a lot of compliments about stuff. First off, we didn't complain. Second off, we did things that no way, shape, or form they wanted to do. And a lot of the time they can't do it. We get a lot of compliments. We get a lot of people who are just super thankful, and that's really rewarding. We get, how many times I've like gotten old ladies just giving me hugs as I'm like drenched in sweat, like, oh my gosh, how are you? Yeah, what are you doing, ma'am? Like, I'm disgusting right now, but you're so happy, right? Like, that's a really good feeling.
And feeling that way, like,
it's a perk of the job that you don't think about. Well, it's one of those intangibles.
Coming from the pest control industry, which isn't always rainbows and unicorns, like, it's a dirty industry, right? I can totally understand the value in getting affirmation from somebody you just rolled around in the mud for, and how much easier that makes it next time. Mm-hmm. Like, that kindness and appreciation, like, I think that just the world needs more of that in general.
Absolutely.
But as like a service provider that works physically, like, it means a lot to myself and to my guys when we get those pieces of positive feedback. Yeah. And not only that, but like when it's given in person, we get to feel that emotional connection. Like when people go above and beyond, they put it on social media and Facebook and stuff like that, to me, like, it's the most humbling thing that somebody would take additional time out of their day to try to help me grow my business, right? Because that's really what that does for a small business. Is it creates social proof where now, instead of Mrs. Johnson knowing how amazing Chris and his team are, now the entire world can see how awesome the experience Mrs. Johnson had with Great Home Movers, and how Chris and Lee and Tom, and I don't even know if those are your guys' names, they're probably not. How all of those...
We got a Tom.
Sweet, nice. All those guys made her feel during one of the most stressful parts of her life. Like that, if anyone is out there buying a service from somebody and you generally appreciate it, that little bit of kindness of putting a review or something, like, that can go on forever and really impact small businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, those guys, when I was, another way I tell them is we're in an industry that fortunately gets gratuity. And those people, so, I mean, and it's not, obviously not required by any means, but people do tip their movers. And when we're doing a good job, it's just, more incentive, for them. It gives them something to work for, So there's a level of appreciation, and sometimes it, goes beyond that too. So
that's awesome.
There's plenty of rewards and there's good stuff. And one thing that I love about this job too is it's a project-oriented thing. Like, oftentimes we're like doing a move and we're completing that job that day, and we can all sit down like...
It's an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Achievement unlocked. That's good, man.
So, I don't know. We also have storage options.
Okay. What do you mean?
More.
Tell me more.
I partner with...
We're still talking about your business here, right?
Yeah. So I think we've gone over moves. We move people from residence to residence, apartments, townhomes, single-family homes. We move offices, light industrial. We move... Give me a call. I'll tell you if we move it, okay?
Okay.
But just until otherwise, assume we do. All right.
And this is just local?
Yeah. Well, anywhere in the state, honestly. Okay. So, if you're up in the Iron Range, I'll move you back down to the cities. If you are in the cities and want to move to the Iron Range, I got you. But yeah, primarily we do the Twin Cities, but anywhere in Minnesota. And we do, like I said, packing as well. So we can pack up your dishes if you don't want to, or if you just don't have time to. We can pack up all of your things, and that's an additional service to what we typically do in a move.
It just amplifies the experience and simplifies that person's life, though.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And then the storage aspect of it. So I partner with someone who has shipping containers now, commonly known as pods, but, don't go with pods, go with whatever, go with my guy. Anyway, yeah, so we partner with someone who has shipping containers, so we can have your stuff put into a shipping container, hold that for as long as you want, and we'll unload it back when you're ready for it.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So sounds like you've got quite a few services that are more than just will move your stuff. But it kind of starts with the will move your stuff. So tell me a little bit about your team and where you're at right now in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we run 2 trucks. We have about 5 guys, then myself, and I have a virtual professional as well, who's just amazing.
Love him.
Absolutely. He's more than what I expected from having a virtual professional. He is, so definitely helping me in a lot more areas than I really expected in my business. And then during the summer, we usually ramp up to about 10 employees, and hopefully I'll be able to get another truck going by the end of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd be where you're at right now?
No. And I guess I really jumped in feet first, really not necessarily having a strong business plan, which I wish I would have sat down and gone over.
What do you wish you would have sat down and gone over before you just jumped in?
I wish I would have sat there and thought about where I wanted this to be in 5 years. That should have been the first thing I thought of, right?
Which is why what am I even doing this for?
I felt like what I was doing it for was so I didn't have to work for someone else. That was the where I want to be in 5 years, not working for someone else. That's where
it started.
But yeah, I should have had much better directives. So, really thinking about your future and what you want to accomplish in the next few years, and sitting down, taking some time to plan out. Doesn't have to be overly detailed, but if I said I want to have 5 trucks in 5 years, what does that look like at 4 years? Yeah. What does that look like at 3 years? What does that look like at 2? What am I going to do to get there?
So what you're talking about is real strategy.
Yeah.
Not just the goal of, hey, I want 5 trucks. Well, there's some shit before 5 trucks, right? There's 3 and 4. And all that.
Right.
So what are actually the steps that we're going to
Absolutely.
make?
How many employees do you need to, how many crews do you need to run? How many?
And I think it's important to know, you don't got to spend too much time on this, because what happens, and I think you'll agree with me, is you can strategize and come up with all these great freaking tactical things. And then when you get out there, it's not what happens. Something else happens, and you still got to pivot and keep moving and grooving, right? So I think that process of just actually looking into the future and thinking about yourself, how do I want my life to actually look in 5 years?
Right.
It sounds like you didn't do that when you first started, and it wasn't until 3 years where
that's right. Yeah, that's the first 3 years are gone.
I wish I would have thought about the future. So my current state isn't where I was at. Right. And that that's the hard way, man. Yeah. And if people can learn by not doing that, just with the conversation we've had today, I think I really think you can change people's lives just with that little bit.
Another thing, don't be afraid to think big. That's another thing I feel like is a chain that I'm trying to drop as well, is not thinking big enough. How
do you train yourself to think big?
Yeah, surrounding yourself with other people who are thinking just slightly bigger than you, seeing what they're doing.
What does that do for you?
It gives you it just gives you the visual, the reassurance. If you're not naturally that kind of person who thinks, someday I'm going to build myself a $2 million warehouse with a full functioning blah, blah, blah. Some people do that. They naturally just think, hey, I can do whatever I want to do and blah, blah, blah. I feel like I've set more, or I've maybe had tempered expectations or not been able to think as big as I should have been able to. Or so just know that other people go out, they have these plans, they have these goals,
And they do more.
They do it. Don't think that just because you're who you are and you have an idea of who you are, that you can't also do these things.
Don't hold yourself back, pretty much.
Absolutely. I think a lot of us just limit ourselves, and not saying I'm
fears or whatever.
Yeah, or we just say like, "Oh, I'm not that guy,"
and that's the end of it. And that's and that's right there is where people fail. Is there's not enough time spent into.
That's someone else. Someone else does that. I'm not that person.
That's a decision.
Yeah,
that's a decision. You decided that.
You just made sure you're not like, and I've done that to myself like plenty of times. It's
you catch yourself still doing that?
Oh, absolutely, I do. Or I think, well, yeah, that's too hard. Oh, if I want to implement this is going to take a lot of my effort, and I still have so many things to do, and I have whatever. And that's where your support system comes into play. That's when you start needing to drop things to other people. I have crew members who do more than just move. They help out, pass out marketing material. They do some of the maintenance stuff that needs to get taken care of around where the trucks are, and making sure that supplies are stocked. I don't go out and buy shrink wrap. One of my lead drivers makes sure that we have all that we need at all times.
It becomes somebody else's responsibility.
You need to give some of that up so that you can do the things in order to think big, so that you do have enough time to do it, so that you have enough resources and it's not too much for you.
How did you learn you needed to do that?
You keep asking me, how did I learn to do that? I don't know. I'm learning it right now.
Okay.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to other people. I'm saying it out loud, so now I have to make it happen. I don't know. I mean, sometimes just putting it out into the ether, gives you the empowerment to do it. So, hey, maybe you
got to start somewhere.
As I'm inspiring other people, I'm also inspiring myself.
Wow.
I hope so.
I think that's deep. I'm going to have to think about that one a little more, because I think that happens to a lot of people, myself included. Like, we look to help because people like to feel like, yep, I helped that person. I was of value in a scenario, right? But sometimes as we go through that process, we're really doing that for ourselves. Like, we're helping ourselves come to that realization as we think we're doing it for somebody else. Interesting. I'm going to have to rewind this and rewatch that. That was a good one. So we've got a few more minutes here.
Do we? I feel like I've been rambling on forever.
Well, you have done a little rambling. I'm just kidding. This has been fantastic. I know there's going to be a lot of people getting value out of this. So real quick, what other type of advice or insight do you have for small business owner trying to grow their business and maybe they're 3 to 7 years in?
And keep up that grind.
Just keep going.
Get up every morning. Go out and do the things.
Don't give up.
Yeah, and have some kind of a routine when you're down about stuff, because you're going to get down about stuff. You're going to have problems. You're going to have, things in your personal life, things in your professional life that you don't want to have to deal with. Mm-hmm. Getting up, doing something easy to start your day. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that, putting one foot in front of the other, this seems like such generic advice, Matt. I don't know, but maybe we just need reminders on, sticking to the basics.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's not this whole big thing out there. It's just like, you got to take that next step. And once you do that, then there's another one after that that's going to come.
Right. And it's like once things get rolling for a day, sometimes I'll wake up at night. Oh, my God. Yeah, all I want to do is go back to bed. But you know what? I'm going to call my virtual professional. Then we're going to talk about a few things that I'm going to task him with. He's going to give me plenty of things that I'm going to have to do as well. And then, we'll start working on those things. And it just, then I started looking at my schedule, seeing what I have to do. Once you start going, you're not going to stop.
You got to get momentum.
Objects going. In motion.
They stay in motion. Right? And I think, that's one of Newton's laws, right? So you're telling me the simple fact that having consistency in your morning, just having something to do that creates a rhythm, that helps you for the rest of the day. It's almost like a pull start for a lawnmower. It's got to get going somehow.
There's times where I just felt like, I'm a business owner. Part of the thing that I like about this is I have the freedom to set my own schedule. Part of the thing that was holding me back at times was the freedom to set my own schedule. Hold yourself to something. If you set yourself to, or don't set yourself up, you can wake up whenever you want. You can go to bed whenever you want. You can do all the things you want to do, but there's no consistency. You're all over the place. Absolutely. You can't run a business in chaos. You can't run your life in chaos. Get up at the same time every morning. Get yourself something to do. Schedule. If you need to schedule yourself something right in the morning to force you to get up, to do something right away, to get the ball rolling, do that. Absolutely.
Do the hard thing.
Yeah.
All right. So one more question. If you had to define the word hustle in terms, as it applies to business, how would you define that?
Just continuing through all the things that we just talked about, knowing that, tomorrow there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but I have a job to do and I have people to do it for.
Love that. All right. So, Chris, thanks again for joining us. Anyone wants to reach out to you or follow you on social media, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you and Great Home Movers? Yeah, you can call me at 763-227-2041. Check out my website, greathomemovers.com. You can email me, chris@greathomemovers.com. I have 3 videos on my website of some of the customers. They'll go into more explanation of, the things that I try and do. And you can apply for a move online. But just give me a call. Honestly, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me is just call me or text me. Love to hear from you. Awesome. Thanks again, Chris. Really appreciate your time today, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for having me, man. Any time I can spend just gazing into those eyes. It's deep. Love it. You've been really deep in my eyes today. So it's a place where I feel at home.